Call the meeting to order. Please rise. We have a special guest going to lead us in the pledge tonight.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the March 5th, 2024 Post Falls City Council meeting. Shannon, please note that all council members are present. And we do have a couple of announcements and a presentation. First announcement, the Government Finance Officers Association has awarded the City of Post Falls the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting for fiscal year 2022. This recognition reflects the city's commitment to transparency and accountability to providing a clear and comprehensive financial information to our community. This achievement is a testament to the hard work of our city's finance department. Well done, Jason and staff. And we were talking earlier today upstairs, and if Jason sticks around long enough, he may beat Shelley's record for the most years that she won that award. So congratulations. And just to confirm, it was for 22?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're just a little bit slow and, okay, just wanted to make sure.
Volunteer driven to review, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Congratulations. In the Parks and Recreation Spring Craft Fair is this Saturday, March 9th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. You can shop local vendors at 3 different locations: the Trailhead Event Center, Black Bay Depot, and the Jack. This is a great time to get one-of-a-kind gifts and support local small shops. And tonight it's my honor, whenever I get to present or recognize an Eagle Scout, I think of former Mayor Clay Larkin, because that's something that Clay loved to do. Clay used to give out knives, sharp knives, very sharp knives. We don't do it anymore. I think it was a bit dangerous. Not saying that they were dangerous for you, but if I was handling it, it could have been dangerous. But we do love to recognize our Eagle Scouts. And so I want to read a letter that we sent to McLean. On behalf of the City of Post Falls, I would like to extend my sincere congratulations on your tremendous achievement of earning the rank of Eagle Scouts. As the highest honor in the Boy Scouts of America, you should be very proud of your accomplishment. I was told about your project leading a group of Scouts, friends, and family members in building several large bookcases for the Coeur d'Alene Charter Academy. Your project will surely serve countless young people in the area in their educational endeavors for years to come. Successfully completing a project such as this shows that you can both lead and collaborate within a team. The skills and experiences you assuredly gained while working towards your Eagle Scout designation will serve you well as you travel through life. Our community needs hardworking, dedicated, service-oriented people such as yourself. We expect to see good things from you in the future. Congratulations again on earning Eagle Scout. And we do have a certificate and record to McLean Duncan, Troop 213, in recognition of achieving the rank of Eagle Scout. Dear Eagle Scout, congratulations on attaining the highest ranking within Scouting. The realization of this outstanding achievement will undoubtedly lead to success and accomplishments throughout your life. Best wishes for the future. So McLean, I'd like to have you join me up front. We'll present this, and I think your mom said she'd like a picture of you. I'm sure not me.
Thank you.
And I was telling McLean's mother earlier, I ran into a lady yesterday out walking, and she mentioned this award that we were going to recognize McLean tonight. And she told me we've got 2 more coming over the next month or so. So it's great not only see 1, but to see 3. That's wonderful. So congratulations again, and thank you for all you've done and will do. Tonight we do have a presentation, Post Falls Urban Renewal Agency 2023 Annual Report. Thanks for showing up, folks.
Well done.
Good evening, City Councilors, Mayor Jacobson. This annual report is required under Idaho Code 50-20, Urban Renewal Law, Chapter 2006, Section 5, Subsection C. The purpose is to report activities for the preceding calendar year to the city prior to March 31st. The financial information required as part of the annual report documentation is available in both the city clerk's office and the agency's office, as well as on our website, www.pfura.com. A few things about the agency. This agency was established in 1991. We occupy office space just across the way in the Chamber of Commerce building on the second floor. Our 2023 officers were Jerry Baltzell, Jamie Davis, Lynn Crosby. Monthly commission meetings are held on the third Thursday of each month here in the City Hall Council Chambers. Most of the agency activities fall under one of the following three committees: the Finance and Policy Committee chaired by Lynn Crosby, District Review Committee chaired by Colin Coles, and the Communication, Property, and Personnel Committee, now chaired by Melissa Jeltness. Workshops are scheduled on an as-needed basis. The mission statement of the Post Falls Urban Renewal Agency is to encourage sound economic and community improvement that enhances the overall quality of life in Post Falls by providing and improving infrastructure, attracting jobs, and enhancing citizen safety and health. Here's a map showing the names and locations of our Post Falls Urban Renewal Districts with 2023 activity. The Center Point and East Post Falls districts closed in December of 2022, but required administrative activity in 2023. The closure of these two districts brings our total number of districts closed to 7. It's important to understand that district proponents build public infrastructure and pay for it up front. The risk lies solely on them to bring in new businesses and expand the community's tax base, which results in additional property value and tax increment. Increment collected by the county is remitted on a monthly basis to the agency, and then the agency reimburses approved proponent obligations on a semi-annual cycle in February and August. This is a map showing the 7 closed urban renewal districts outlined. I included this map because I believe it provides a clear view of how the City of Post Falls and the Urban Renewal Agency have effectively utilized the program to promote sound economic and community improvement in mostly commercial and industrial areas during the past 30 years of growth. Improvements funded through urban renewal have totaled $68.4 million in these 7 districts. Total valuation increase due to development within these districts was $1.08 billion, equating to over $2.64 million in funds to the City of Post Falls, which continues annually as part of the city's expanded property tax base after each urban renewal district is closed. When a district has remaining tax increment funds, at closure, the surplus is rebated to the taxing districts, which include the City of Post Falls, School District, North Idaho College, Kootenai County Fire and Rescue, Kootenai County, the Community Library Network, and EMS. Rebates totaling over $2.23 million were returned to the taxing entities, of which the city received $926,000. And historically, the agency has proactively returned unobligated tax increment funds to the taxing entities during the term of a district. In 2009 and 2012, there was $5.5 million rebated from the East Post Falls district. Continued development after the close of each district can be expected to increase tax revenue possibilities into the future for taxing districts. The Center Point and East Post Falls districts are both examples of the successful implementation of urban renewal. Center Point Urban Renewal District opened in 2002 with one employer, Fiscal, having 65 jobs and a base value of $1.4 million. Apologize, some of the text there on those graphics I've noticed are a little hard to make out. Upon closure, the district had an increment value of $117.4 million, over 1,200 jobs, and infrastructure is continuing to provide for additional commercial and industrial development with even more jobs in the coming years. The East Post Falls District was comprised of 3 sub-districts, the North, Central, and South. It was formed in 2002 with a base value of $62.4 million and an initial tax increment of $35,000. It closed having an additional $691 million of taxable value and an additional $3.5 million in annual tax increment that is now part of the underlying taxing district's budgeting authority. Project funding over the life of the district was over $32.5 million, with these pictures showing just 3 of the numerous infrastructure projects. District proponents and developers in both the downtown and Post Falls technology districts have completed at their expense approved remediation and public infrastructure projects. A request for reimbursement has been made in the downtown district, while nothing has been submitted in Post Falls Technology District. As of December 31st, 2023, there were not any obligation balances in our 3 active districts. This slide shows a 3-year comparison of tax increment received by each district. The overall increment in 2023 decreased 6% over 2022. Post Falls Tech and downtown districts are experiencing healthy increment increases as a result of new development expanding the tax base, as well as increases in market valuations. And then here are a few of the financial highlights from fiscal years 2022 and 23. Increment value decreased overall as the downward trending tax increment in our districts offset the increases within our active urban renewal districts. Interest revenue increased significantly with the continued rise in interest rates. Cash decreased as closing district reimbursement obligations were fully paid and surplus funds were rebated. Loan liabilities remain 0 as the agency has not taken on any debt after the early payoff of the Greens Ferry overpass in 2021. Proponent obligations zeroed out, with final obligation payments made in the closing districts for approved public infrastructure projects and no new obligations incurred in our current active districts. And our actual operating expenses have decreased from the prior year with having just 1 part-time staff member throughout the entire year. I'd like to thank you on behalf of the Urban Renewal Commission, as well as myself, for the city staff and administration, their cooperation, their dedicated work with the agency throughout the year, and thank the mayor and city council for your willingness to work in partnership with the commission. And please keep in mind that urban renewal and tax increment financing are among the most significant tools available for economic development and attracting businesses, promoting job creation, and encouraging development when implemented with a well-considered plan and effective coordination between the city, the agency, and our local and regional development community. This report, as well as the financial documents, fiscal year audit, etc., are available in the city clerk's office, blue folder like this, at the agency office, as well as online at our website I mentioned earlier. Thank you.
Joe, thank you very much, and I've said it earlier tonight in the workshop, and I'll say it again. I think Post Falls Urban Renewal sets a standard for how urban renewal should be handled. I appreciate your work and that of the commission. I think you use it for the right purposes. I think you get in, you get projects identified, get projects done, get the districts closed out, and rebate the excess back to the taxing district. So I think it's a model that hopefully others will follow. Hopefully we'll have the opportunity to continue to utilize it. So I appreciate your work on it, and thanks for the presentation. Any comments from council? No? Thanks very much.
Thank you.
We do need an amendment to the agenda tonight. I know Shelley and I talked about this yesterday, and we thought about maybe making this amendment, and then I know Councilor Stigliter brought it up. So would you care to float the amendment to remove the one item from?
Yes.
Please.
I would like to move to remove item D, various non-depreciable assets, fixed asset disposal from the consent calendar.
And, excuse me if I can, will that come back in at a future council?
So yes,
Okay.
Jason will bring that back with additional information.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure we weren't going to talk about it in new business and bring it back, so I apologize for the interruption.
Oh, no, you're fine.
Okay.
Did I do it right? I don't have a script over here.
You
so-
did nice, you did
Okay.
nice. We have a motion.
Second.
Motion second, further discussion. Roll call, please.
Stigliter,
Aye.
Walker,
Aye.
Malloy,
Aye.
Ziegler,
Aye.
Westland,
Aye.
Shove.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Thank you, Samantha, for doing that. Do we have any declarations of conflict tonight? With that, I would entertain, or would you please present the consent calendar?
Item A is minutes, February 20th, 2024, City Council meeting. Item B is payables, February 13th through February 26th, 2024. Item C is surplus of letter folder inserter machine. Item E is surplus computer disposal. Item F is Ziply Fiber 911 network renewal agreement. Item G is Wellsprings Edition subdivision plat application. And item H is Foxtail 9th Edition subdivision plat application. And I'm not sure for tracking purposes, I'll just mention again that item D was removed.
Any questions on consent?
I would move to approve the consent calendar as amended.
Motion second, further discussion. Roll call, please.
Westland,
Aye.
Walker,
Aye.
Shove,
Aye.
Stigliter,
Aye.
Ziegler,
Aye.
Malloy.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next on the agenda is public hearings, and tonight we have none. I do understand we're going to have 2 or 3 next in 2 weeks, though, correct?
Correct.
So, okay. I mentioned that, so enjoy it while there's none tonight. It'll be longer next time.
Relish this.
Unfinished business, returning items. We do have one that's a resolution for fiscal year 2024 fee update.
I would move to approve the resolution fiscal year 2024 fee update.
Second.
Motion second. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Walker,
Aye.
Shove,
Aye.
Stigliter,
Aye.
Ziegler,
Aye.
Malloy,
Aye.
Westland.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. New business, ordinance returning to city council, ordinance relating to city council meetings. Field.
Yeah, so this is a new ordinance that is being brought forward. I originally put it on. You can look at this, we can discuss it, we can bring it back in another meeting. You can also move to adopt it tonight, depending on what you want to do. Basically, what it does is it removes the 6 o'clock start time for city council meetings in our ordinances. Currently, in our existing ordinance, it spells out that city council has to start at 6 p.m. in City Hall. That is not a requirement of state code. It's just something we have in our code. And the reason behind removing it is to just grant a little bit more flexibility with our schedules. So the state code requires meeting notice to be given 5 days in advance, or because we have regular meetings posted in a prominent place in City Hall, posted on the website to give people notice. And so I think the idea would be to work with our agenda a little bit to say, when we have a workshop, that City Council will start following the conclusion of the workshop, so that when we have nights with shorter workshops, City Council can start the meeting earlier.
Field, we have workshops almost before every council meeting anymore. So that's used to be unusual. Now it's the norm. And what we've found, just to reiterate what you said, we may have a 5 o'clock workshop that goes 15 minutes, but we sit here for 45 minutes waiting to start the meeting. But if my thought is, I like this, and if we can notify that workshop starts at 5, City Council to follow thereafter, that lets folks know who either want to be here or want to watch it, however we broadcast now, YouTube, however we broadcast, to pay attention and know it could start earlier. But I think it does provide some flexibility. So just wanted to share my 2 cents. Council, you want to weigh in?
Oh, I have a really unpopular opinion about this, and I'm sorry, but I like that it's called out in, I didn't realize that it was called out in our ordinances, but as a citizen going to the meetings, I appreciate that it is always at 6 o'clock. I know we have other public meetings that the times vary, and I just, now knowing the reason, so thank you, Field, for explaining that. I mean, that's my feeling, but I don't think it's the wrong answer to take it out, but thinking about it from a citizen perspective, I appreciate that it is always at 6 o'clock. It just makes it more consistent and easier for citizens to come. That's my opinion.
I agree with Councilor Stigliter. The having a public meeting where you don't know the start time ahead of time, I think is really confusing for citizens. As much as it would make our lives easier, because sometimes we do have to stand around, I think if we're going to have public participation at the meetings, particularly if there's going to be a public hearing, it's really valuable for people who want to show up to speak at that or to witness it, that they know at least a day in advance, exactly what time to walk at the door. And having them have to show up at 5 o'clock or 5:30 just in case, I think puts a burden on citizens that makes public participation a little more difficult. And in this case, I think we're better off suffering the wait time of having to stand around once in a while to make sure that we kind of keep that pathway open for citizen engagement.
So just to address that a little bit, workshops are not in city code, or workshops are not in state code. There's no such thing as a workshop. The city council meeting, when city council convenes, it is a city council meeting. The only real thing that the code contemplates is meetings. So when we start the workshop, it is the theoretical start of a meeting of city council. The other aspect of that is just it doesn't prevent us from starting the regular meeting at 6 o'clock. It just allows us to do that in the agenda that gets posted versus a requirement of code. So that's all.
Anybody else?
And to kind of build off what Field is saying, I've gone back and forth on this one because I had the same thoughts as you, that and not only members of the public that want to come in and testify, but if you've got somebody who's proposing a development or something that's under the public hearing, then they have to pay an engineer to be here, so do they have to pay them, or a representative, so they have to pay them to show up early, and we may or may not be here, that sort of thing. Flip side of that is there's a lot of meetings that don't even have public hearings, and we've got a fixed number of people that are all getting paid to stand around for 45 minutes and do nothing. So I don't think that with this ordinance, it states that the meeting has to start immediately after the workshop. If we know we've got a pretty deep public hearing on the agenda, then we should choose as a body, even if the workshop gets over early, let's hold off until 6 o'clock to give the public a chance to be here, and the engineers, proponents, everything else a chance to be here. But in a perfect case like tonight, when there is no public hearing, there was really no reason that we had to hang out for half an hour before starting the meeting, because there's no public hearing. So I think it leaves it open to use our discretion to make more efficient use of city staff's time, our own time when it makes sense, and to wait until 6 when that makes sense. So flip side of that too is if it doesn't work, we can always change it back. But I think we are capable as a body of using our discretion and starting at 6 when it makes sense.
For example, a couple weeks.
Correct.
To tag on to that, there may be a situation where we have multiple public hearings scheduled where we may want to start the regular meeting earlier to accommodate more time. And so again, it allows for that flexibility.
We could also, on the agenda itself, referring to the public hearings or any presentation that would have public, we could move those to later in the agenda and have the staff reports first. So if there was the time between 5:30 and 6, we could do the staff reports, the consent calendar, the items that are less likely to have public input. So that's always something we could look at doing also.
Yeah, maybe assure that no matter what, a public hearing's not going to start before 6.
Exactly, we could.
Or citizen comments.
Right.
I mean, do we have the ability to override the ordinance sporadically if needed for agendas? Presently, with the way that is that an action that we can take if you felt that it was really important to do so prior to that meeting?
So right now, it is in city code that the city council meets on the first and third Tuesday of each month at 6 p.m.
Right.
at City Hall. So we can't do anything different. The regular meeting is set at 6 p.m. by our code.
If it were changed, we could protect points you brought up, public hearings, citizen comments.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that the public hearing and the citizen comments are technically when we get the most impact, but the truth is that the entire meeting is really for the public, and it's at their discretion about how involved they want to be with each of those points. So I feel like staff reports are also for citizens to view. I don't, that's just,
And bear in mind, citizens can also show up public at the workshops.
I remember.
Yeah. Josh?
I can see both sides of it, but I do agree with you, Mayor, and both of you that the flexibility would be great to have, such as meetings as tonight, and being able to swap the agenda around if we need to. I think it's, I like the idea of having the flexibility.
Nathan?
As Councilor Malloy mentioned, I've thought about this kind of both sides. And so I guess where I've landed on this is I do think that as a service to the public, we need to have regularly scheduled meetings. And I would disagree with you on one point. If even tonight, with our Eagle Scout presentation, it would be really difficult if, as a family member, I knew that our meeting was going to start at 6, wanted to be there for that presentation, and it ended up starting earlier than that. So in this case, I would say the 6 p.m. or whatever regular scheduled time that we decide, I think would be more inviting to the public to engage in public discourse or any kind of records, accounting, or anything that we present in the public meeting. So I would be an advocate for sticking with the regularly scheduled time.
Kenny?
I think the flexibility for us is nice, but I think it is far outweighed by the importance of having it consistent for the public. Not only the difficulty for them, but I think just added more frustration with feeling a disconnect if we're changing meetings around and meeting times. My suggestion would be, if we know we have a workshop coming up that's not going to last very long, then we change that to start at 5:30 or 5:15 or whatever. I would lean towards just leaving it consistent unless we change the workshop time later, but not changing the council meeting. I just think that would add too much frustration for the public.
So see, Samantha, it wasn't an unpopular.
Apparently not.
See?
It
So
doesn't
you-
happen
I'm sorry,
very
but you were
often.
Yeah, and I'm good either way, and I would also like to say, we have to sit around and hang out with each other. I think it's pretty good company, but that's just me. So again, do we need a motion, or does it just go away?
If it dies for lack of a motion, that it can just go away.
If it dies, it dies.
Can I ask one extra question? You said, so in our ordinance, it says starting at 6 p.m., but in state law, there's no distinction between the workshop and the regular meeting. So are we in compliance with our own ordinance if we have a workshop starting before 6?
Yeah, so our regular meeting, the regular meeting starts at 6. So right now, we are tied to that 6 o'clock start time for the regular meeting.
Because
we
workshops
can-
are not part of the regular meeting, so it's okay if those don't start at 6.
Right, and we can schedule special meetings, we can have different city council meetings or like site visits or something like that.
Right.
But as far as when our regular meeting is, it starts at 6.
Thank you.
Just a comment on Councilor Shove's comment about starting a workshop later. There have been quite a few occasions where you start a workshop at 5 o'clock and you think it's going to be short, but they're intended to be discussion sessions. And sometimes questions come up and discussion starts, and then we end up bumping against the 6 o'clock deadline and having to cut it a little short. So I think starting a workshop late probably isn't a good practice, so, which is fine, but we've got to be, if we're not going to have this ordinance, then we're resigned to tying up staff for perhaps half hour or more of unproductive time on a fairly regular basis. So just throwing that out there.
Something else we could do is do the workshops on the other Tuesdays so that we don't have 2 meetings and we're trying to figure out a gap between them, because I think most of us have this segment on Tuesdays blocked out generally. And at least I would be okay with just doing the workshops on the other Tuesdays. at 6 o'clock or something. And that
One
way
of the
we don't
issues
to
you
worry
have
about it.
is, although it's not in this room, but you've got planning and zoning on one Tuesday, don't you have park and rec on another Tuesday, so you've got other city meetings going on, so they'd be conflicting.
Also, you gotta get that past my wife.
He is not going to, that's up to you.
So one of the things we have talked about, Field and I spoke earlier today on this, is perhaps having a backup workshop discussion. So if, tonight we had urban renewal on for our topic, which generally, Joe's right, that usually is like a 2-hour meeting with them. So we don't have as many districts open as now as we used to, so it went a little shorter than what we had planned for. But we could have posted and had a secondary item on there in case there was time. And so that would be something that we could look at doing too. It may not be as well prepared as the first meeting, but we could post a second topic and just put on there, if there is time in this workshop, then this topic will be discussed also.
Another question, executive session. We've talked about that. Executive sessions is closed to the public. If we have an executive session scheduled, and we have a workshop that ends quick, we may have to delay the start of the meeting if the executive went 5 or 10 minutes long, but could we do that in the interim instead of at the end of the meeting?
So the executive sessions are listed on the regular agenda, so I don't know that we could move it off of the regular agenda, absent some sort of.
Well, yeah, because I guess
emergency.
if you did that, you would have to start the meeting earlier than the 6 o'clock, gotcha.
So we could do that if this ordinance passed, and we couldn't do it if it didn't.
Right.
Maybe.
I just think on balance, we're talking 20 or 30 minutes at the most, occasionally, that we need to wait.
It's in your hands, council.
Maybe, thinking out loud, could we drill this down more and provide a more specific set of exceptions that could start before 6? For example, an executive session, if there is one.
I'm open to I march to your drum, so.
Can we do it this way? Right now, if we were to take a vote, it'd be 4-2. So could we maybe table it for a meeting or two, and if you have thoughts, recommendations, you may not change. You know, your point I'm staying right where I am, and that's fine. But if people have suggestions or recommendations, give you a few weeks to get back to staff, and then we'll address it again at that point. Is that all right?
Sure.
Need a motion to do that? Motion to table?
Nope, we can bring it back in another meeting.
Good, so if you have questions, comments, recommendations, concerns, please reach out and let staff know. Okay? Thanks, good discussion.
Do we need a motion for that, right?
No, he said we don't,
We don't, no.
Oh, all right.
but I'm good to know you were ready. Let me see where we are. Next section on the agenda is for citizens' issues, and this section of the agenda is reserved for citizens wishing to address the council on city-related issues that are not on the agenda. Anyone wishing to testify? See none. Followed by administrative staff reports. 2024 event preview.
Hello, and thank you for having me. Let me get this. I'll put my glasses on so we. Again, thank you. I am Tracy Stevenson, the Recreation Manager for the City of Post Falls, and I'm just going to let you know about some of our great events that we have for our community and go over some of the dates and so forth in case you want to join us. I just broke it down. We do a quarterly brochure within our department, as I'm sure you've all seen, so I just broke it down amongst our seasons of when the brochure comes out. So one of our big events, I'll just start off with winter, is our River City Basketball Tournament. It used to be an AAU sanctioned tournament. It's no longer a sanctioned tournament just because they kind of got overrun and there was way too many, and it was an expense thing with teams paying so much. So it's just a competitive league, and we have about this is a tournament, sorry. We also go into a league, but the tournament has about 48 teams in it. We use 7 gyms usually. We play about 120 games, and between a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We always do it over Veterans Day weekend. Our veterans get in free for it, so it allows just for teams that are traveling in from out of state, it's a longer weekend for them, so it's okay. Another big fun one we do is our Wild Turkey Dodgeball Tournament, which is a fun, crazy night about the Friday prior to Thanksgiving. We usually have about 10 teams with about 100 players involved in it. So this year it'll be on November 22nd. Then Winterfest, I know a bunch of you have been at Winterfest. It's right here at City Hall in the plaza. We partner up with the Kootenai Fire and Rescue, in which we're fortunate to have them here too. So we use the plaza and 4th Street. This is where we have Mrs. Claus's Kitchen, which they get their little s'more kits to do over the burn barrels. We have Santa's Workshop, which is our free little craft area for the kiddos. And then we have the North Pole tent, which is the huge tent that's kind of back by the museum, and Santa and Mrs. Claus are there. They usually have about 150 to 200 kids sitting on Santa's lap telling them their wishes. So that's a big fun place. So I almost forgot one of the big things. We also have all our vendors out here on the plaza, and then we also use 4th Street for it. So we have about 20 different vendors that are usually set up. Another fun one, you'll see the cute little picture of the ladies like in their little aprons. That is actually a volleyball tournament. That's our Holly Jolly Volleyball Tournament, which is actually the Sunday right after Winterfest. But we normally have about 24 to 35 teams involved in that, and they play at 2 different schools. This year that'll be right at December 8th, right after our Winterfest. We also have, in that time of year, we have our bridal tour, which was originally, we set it up to highlight our Trailhead Event Center. And then we also included the Jack Center, and it's a free bridal show, which we normally, at the Trailhead ourselves, have about 30 vendors, and then the Jack has about 20, and we usually have about 400 future brides come through. This last one, we just hosted it in January. They came through, and they had at least over 30 bookings. So we think that's a pretty good turnout for, like there was some photography bookings and some catering. And it also just allows us to showcase our beautiful facility and get some reservations on it. Another one, the cute little one where you'll see like the Hollywood sign, that's our daddy-daughter date night. It used to be held at the Trailhead Event Center, but we outgrew the facility, which is a good thing. So now we can have about 300 girls and their daddies or grandpas or aunts or uncles or a male role model for them. That night includes, we have a DJ, we have a craft area, we have a photographer, we have snacks. So we now do it at Prairie View Elementary School. That's where we grew to. And that just happened on February 3rd. Another one, the top little picture with everyone kind of in their costumes, is our Murder Mystery Night. And that's just something very unique that we have in our community. It's an interactive murder night. And we've done several different themes, everywhere from the Kentucky Derby to a bourbon place. We've done a few different varieties on it. So it's just something unique for us. I'm going to move. Here's our spring events. Our little pirate is one of our staff. That's a mother-son night of fun. That's like we had the daddy-daughter. Now this is the mother and son night. Again, we do different themes for that. We're hoping to expand. We right now only have the daddy-daughter and the mother-son, but we're hoping to do like a grandparents' day and then like a family night. So that is happening, or just happened, on March 2nd. So another one is our spring craft fair, which I heard you talk about right in the beginning, and that one is this weekend. That is at the Trailhead, also at our Black Bay Depot, and also at the Jacqueline Arts Center. So we do it at 3 different locations. We normally have about 75 vendors and about 500 people, 500 to 600 usually come through for it. And then the other next big one that we're really working on is the Easter egg extravaganza down at Camille Park. Believe it or not, that's 20,000 eggs that are stuffed with about 400 pounds of candy that is completely donated by our sponsors, or they don't donate the candy, they sponsor the funds, and we purchase the candy. We have every different divisions and age groups from toddlers to 11-year-olds, and then we also have a special needs and a mobilities area for it. So That's a huge area, and that is Saturday, March 30th. So if you have family or you're looking to volunteer, we can always use people out there. Also, like I talked about with the Holly Jolly volleyball tournament, we do what we call our Notorious Dig volleyball tournament in the spring, and that brings in about 16 teams on that. We also do, at the top where you're looking at the winery, that's our Ladies' Day Out event, which is a huge event, sells out in the first day it goes online. And we are trying to work out maybe also doing another one in the fall. It's where they get on the bus and we take them out to lunch, and then we hit a few wineries, and it's just a fun event for all of us. That's the one I get to do with them and have a great time. Moving on to our summer. Last summer we had our very first kickball tournament, which was fantastic. We had quite a few teams, and that also based on their feedback, this year we're starting a kickball tournament or kickball league. We already had the tournament, now we're doing the league. So we also normally would be doing our Post Falls Fishing Derby at Falls Park in the summer. This summer it won't be happening just due to the construction down there, but it's normally about 200 to 250 kids. It's in collaboration with the Idaho Fishing Game and Cabela's, so we're fortunate to have those sponsors and come out and help us. Then we have our Movies in the Park, which is in partnership with our Post Falls Police Department. We do 3 movies at 3 different venues. We try to move it into neighborhood parks, allowing families to walk from their neighborhood and join us for the night. We usually have about 1,000 in attendance for the summer. We do pre-show activities, our sponsors that we're lucky enough to get. They usually bring like a game or cornholing, some sort of activity, just because our movies, we're lucky enough to have that much daylight that we don't start until later, so we want them to have something to do. This summer we're going to move to, we've never used Hildy Kellogg Park. That's one we'll do in June, and then July. Our July one is always at our Post Falls Festival, and then we will be doing our last one at Tullamore Park. We also, where you see the cutest little couple dancing, that's our little Post Falls River City Market Music that we did in collaboration with the Post Falls Chamber. And that, I'm sorry, I skipped my notes on it, but the Post Falls Chamber on that one, and we usually have, let me get to that one. That's a 6 weeks one from mid-July to mid-August. It's at the Landings right next to Falls Park. We have about 50 vendors with food booths each week coming. We have live music each week. And that this year will be from July 17th to the August 21st. But what I skipped was our Post Falls Festival. I don't know how I skipped like one of the biggest ones we do, but our Post Falls Festival, which is at Camillin Park, that one brings in, we had about 19 food booths, but we had 92 vendors, and we're on track to have even more this year. And then we also, amongst that being a 3-day event with our Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we also do a 1-day crafters that we only do like up in the Grand Pavilion, and that usually has about 45 crafters, and that has to strictly be homemade goods and items there. We have 11 different bands that play throughout the weekend. Last year was our first time. Daniel from our Parks Department got us in collaboration with, we worked with CityLink, and we had over 650 riders for it. This year we're hoping to bump up the usage of the bus and also add an extra day, just because we know of the construction that'll be on Spokane Street, and it might be a little bit more chaotic for people, so we're hoping they'll hop on that bus. During the event, we also do our big wheel race on Friday night before our movie in the park. Calvary Lutheran Church does a car show up here on Saturday, also the parade that's done, and then there's different inflatables and different toys and activities for the kids down there for that. We also, the wetsuits you'll see, that's our Post Falls Triathlon and Duathlon, which we didn't get to have it last year because that's the exact day the fire burn started for us, unfortunately. But normally we have about 250 participants. It used to be just a duathlon, and it was out of Falls Park, and then when Ironman came into town and we saw the potential and people wanting it, more triathlons, we offer our Sprint Triathlon, which is a great event for that. And then fall is we do our running shoes and microbrews event at Kiwanis Park. We have about 150 to 250 participants at it. It's where it can be either a run for people or it's a nice, beautiful walk through the surrounding Hunters Glen neighborhood and into our park along the river. And they will end in a beer garden. It also has a costume. They can dress up. We have a costume competition for it. We have food booths, and that'll be October 5th this year. Then we have our cute little community trick-or-treating, which is done right here at City Hall. We usually get about 300 to 500 kids, and it's usually done right on Halloween afternoon, like from 3 to 5. And each department is able, if they'd like to participate, to decorate their little area. Then our picture down there with the guys all happy, that was our Pumpkin Bowl flag football tournament. We did it for our very first time last year. And this year we're actually also adding what we're calling our Snow Melt Showdown in April. But this one, the fall one, will happen October 27th. So we try to do just a broad range, diverse programs that help encompass like all the different ages and genders and people's what they're interested in. And so we work with, as you saw, we work with a bunch of different partners, which we are forever grateful for, to have them working with us. And a lot of this is, we can make this happen also thanks to so many volunteers within our community. Do you have any questions about all our fun
Questions
stuff?
for Tracy?
It's a great lineup.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
information. Thank you for the information and for all the Parks and Recreation Department does.
Yeah, thank you.
You bet.
I have a question for council stemming from that about the music and the market and music. That's the 6-week, or like that's the weekly one, right?
Yes.
Does the city have a booth at that? Do we have
Yes.
a booth?
Yes, we have done it a couple of ways. We've done just our separate booth, and then the chamber had theirs. Last year, we shared our booth with them to hand out information stuff. We are actually looking at trying to do like where people can come down there and register their kids and stuff for programs down there at our booth.
I was sort of wondering if other council members would be interested in signing up to have one of us be at that booth every week to have, or more than one of us, I don't know, but to have council representation at that booth this year. And I don't know if I'm doing this right, Shelley, so I'm so
You are
sorry.
just-
But
you are
I thought that
perfectly
this
fine.
might be the
Yeah.
good time to ask everybody
No.
about that. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All of those events sound
Yes,
great.
thank you.
Council?
It's a good idea.
Sounds like a good idea to me.
Yeah, I'd be willing if I'm around, but I'm retired.
Well, okay.
I can't commit because I don't know what I'm doing next week. But no, it's not a
Non-committal.
bad idea.
Okay.
So we can set up, we'll have Shannon send the dates out to you guys and then have you maybe just sign up to make sure we
Sure.
have at least one. We can never have more than 2, right?
More than 3.
3.
3.
We can have 3.
Yeah, 3 is
Okay.
not, 3 is not.
3
a
would be the
quorum.
max would be allowed to have.
Yeah, can't have a quorum.
And I could be with any of, if you have 3, I can be there because I don't count. Sorry, I had to throw that out before Joe did. So, no, it's a good idea. Next item up is mayor and council comments. You know, something that I've been meaning to mention and hit me or almost hit me yesterday is drivers. So we take our dog out for a walk every morning, and there are certain areas that don't have sidewalks. And so we walk up the side of the road. And whenever we hear a car coming, we try to step off the road and you know, get as far away as we can. But sometimes that's not possible. And we had this snow yesterday, roads were slick as could be, and we're over as far as we can. We get cars going by, and it's a very small minority of drivers that will not pull over. And yesterday, I think there was one that probably had, maybe 2 feet between myself and them. And it's interesting, the younger people really seem to be cognizant of it. And so you get younger drivers, if they're not on their cell phones, when they drive up, they pull off in the other lane to give you room. And the majority of drivers do, but I would just throw that out. If you're driving, you see people walking, understand, oftentimes there's not a chance for them to get too far off the road. So give them some room because, especially with roads like they were today and yesterday, it's dangerous. So I would just ask the citizens to be cognizant when they're driving of people who are out walking. Mayor comments, or I'm sorry, council comments.
I think I need to give a shout out to the police department and fire and rescue as well. I got to go on my ride along, and both entities responded super fast to a life-threatening event that was at the veterans home, and I just happened to get to be a little bit a part of it. But it was just real kudos to those people that we have in our community that they saved a life. There's no two ways about it. So.
And you know, it's something that we don't talk about much, but we expect, and I think we expect it in a good way. I don't mean to be derogatory at all. It's just the great service that we're lucky enough to receive.
Yeah.
So we do not need an executive session.
We do not.
So the next motion is
Adjourn?
all those in favor.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.